You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
And welcome back to the show. Here's a look at some of the political headlines of the past week. Lubbock Congressman Jody Arrington has introduced the SCREEN Act, which is meant to speed up the deportation process for migrants who make false asylum claims and reduce the number of illegal immigrants who are released in the United States depending court hearings. It would allow Customs and Border Protection officers to immediately do what's called credible fear interviews and make a quick determination whether or not their asylum case has enough merit to move forward. And the process of finding a new medical examiner for Lubbock County is taking a while, so they're now looking to hire an interim examiner, not to do autopsies, but basically just to support the current staff and run the office until a permanent solution is found. Commissioners would like to have a whole plan moving forward by October 1st on that. Lubbock City Council facing its own deadline to come up with a master plan for downtown redevelopment. A design team was in town this week to talk to residents about what they want and ways to bring more residents back downtown. And KMAC's Matthew Stell has more on that.
Lubbock area business owners, county officials, and citizens discussed the downtown master plan being led by San Antonio-based Overland Partners. The city's contract with Overland requires that the two parties establish a master plan within a year. That year is almost up, but City Councilwoman Latrell Joy wanted today's participants to address a much bigger elephant in the room.
If you want to have a downtown that's vibrant, where people live, you've got to have walkability, livability, connectivity. We have too many cars. Parking is always an issue downtown when you have an event.
Some of the meeting's topics included a plan to attract large employers, multi-use developments, relocating the farmers market, and convincing more Texas Tech students to live downtown. Mike Nim believes if the city puts its best foot forward towards redevelopment, the people will come.
We have a restaurant here, a coffee shop, and a brewery, and I think that people in Lubbock are really eager for downtown to really take off. We have a lot of transplants from larger cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and things like that that really want to support a bustling downtown environment.
While the council took no formal action, they still encourage participation from all walks of life in an effort to bring back an area that some say hasn't been the same in over 40 years.
We want everybody to have input. This is not just about the master developer. It's not just about the city of Lubbock. It's about everybody getting input, and that will include citizens as well.
Matthew Stell, KMAC News.
All right, now time for a chat with District 5 City Councilman Randy Christian. Always good to have you here in the studio.
Good to see you, man.
All right, let's talk budgets and taxes and all the fun stuff that we got out there.
Well, we've got a couple of public hearings coming up in the near future where people can come down and voice their opinion on any and everything that's listed on that big piece of, that big document that's called our annual budget.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to. I do not feel that enough people probably take advantage of that should. If you got something on your mind and you want to share with us, come on down and sign up before 5 o'clock, and we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, okay, so 1 cent property tax increase in the budget proposal.
Correct.
And everybody sees that and their eyes get real big. But the truth is, we've kind of known that was coming for a while, right?
Actually, we did a kind of a about face on that one because they're originally going to be two pennies, which is only 1 penny, but effective rate's like 4.7 or something like that when you boil all the numbers down.
Yeah, 4.78.
Yeah, and of course we knew that one, possibly 2 was coming, but all of that's earmarked for public safety and the new neighborhood police stations, which I'm very excited about. I think it's a great concept.
Yeah, you talk about it was originally supposed to be a 2% increase. So how's that shortfall being taken care of? Tell me how that works.
Well, we had an unanticipated or forecasted increase in sales tax and property tax. So that's where we felt like let's back off and just do the one.
Any other fee changes coming for stormwater or water, things like that? Well,
stormwater is going to come down a little bit, but there's no any increases of any significance that I can think of right off the top of my head that are going to be in the budget. So no, we're holding the line on most of those, but I think a lot of people are very excited about the fact that we're gradually pulling back that stormwater fees.
Any changes as far as servicing the city debt? A lot of people like to watch that.
We've the last 2 years, or since I've been on it, we've gradually knocked that down just a little bit, and we'll continue to do that. And a lot of that has to do because a lot of our, especially vehicles bills and such, we're doing it on a cash basis, which has never been done before, which allows us to knock down that debt since we're not taking any more on at this time.
Last I saw was $825 million in total spending, projects and everything else that was in the proposed budget. Give me some things, particularly in your district, that need to be in that final budget to get paid for, some good projects for you.
Well, the one that I'm most excited about that we're getting funded and we're going to be working on in the near future is McAllister Park.
Yeah.
I think this television station has a little history with some people named
just a little bit
McAllister.
Yeah.
But it's been it's over 300 acres over there. There's nothing has ever been done to it of any significance. Obviously, we have the Little League fields. We have getting ready to have the rebirth of Legacy Play Village and Milestones, which is an indoor play park for handicapped kids. Those are private funded things. There are going to be some things that the city's going to do, but my MO on this is that we know that some of the things that we want to do over there, we're going to have to ask some people to open up their wallet and help us make some of those things happen. But it needs to be done because in the definition of a regional or destination park, McAllister is the poster child primarily because it's sandwiched between Marcia Sharp and Spur 327. You can imagine how many cars go by that park every day.
Location's perfect for so many people.
And also part of the 2040 plan is that we need to look and figure out how we can maximize our playa lakes and for recreation and actually entertainment. If you want to know, think about it. We could have a little mini amphitheater over there.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? You know, we pull our hair out here on the news talking every night about crime and violent crimes that are taking place. It seems like more and more throughout the area. What do you guys see from a council's point of view as far as reasons, things that might be done from a political end of things to help authorities, the sheriff and the police chief with all these kind of things?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and as I see exactly what you're seeing too, and everybody else does, and the type of crimes. If you boil them all down and you talk to the sheriff and you talk to our police force, that most all of them are drug-related in some form or fashion or gang-related. We're seeing a much uptick of gang violence and gang initiated crimes too. I was talking to one of the chiefs just yesterday of some of these home invasions.
Yeah.
Several of those, or a number of those, can be traced to gang initiation. Go in and knock that door down and terrorize some people. You may not take a thing, but then you go back to the gang house, if you will, and you get your badge.
Amazing.
And it is scary, especially when you see how young those people are. When I saw the age of those people, I said, they didn't think of that all by themselves.
No.
Somebody was telling them to go do it.
And this goes back to some of the public safety projects, though, and in some styles of policing, I think, is what really boils down to some of the changes being made in and around town.
Well, especially when we get all three of the neighborhood stations that will happen. I think we'll be breaking ground on the one over on MLK sometime in September, early October at the latest, from what I've heard. I don't think that's any roadblocks for that not to happen. But we need those safe havens, those places where people can go and knock on the door of the police station if they need to. And I think that can be a deterrent, especially in neighborhoods where we know there is definitely high crime going on. Just seems like every night.
Yeah. District 5 Councilman Randy Christian. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Good to be here.